a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nut podcast number 2095, living your life, your life as a living example. So this week, and I apologize for being on late. I've been sidetracked all day. I even missed Zeffie's blood work appointment, so I had to reschedule that for Monday. So it's been one of those days, but it's been a great day. There's been a lot of creativity going on and a lot of production going on some new stuff. So I just had today set aside to work on a personal project. And so it's been awesome to be able to do that. Anyway, so this week we have been talking about, what have we been talking about? We've had a lot of stuff going on this week. I mean, Monday we talked about being rooted in our values, what guides us day to day. So where do you show up in your life? What are your top 3 values? Tuesday we talked about creating sacred spaces, home, heart, and habits, safe and grounded or alive. Wednesday we had Peggy joining us talking about knowing about finances and that, which is a good thing to know about, leaving the legacy of finances, passing on financial knowledge and that sort of thing to the younger generation and teaching them when they're young. Thursday, it was showing up in relationships, legacy in real times. You know, who's been showing up for you lately? Who needs a little more of your presence, encouragement, or honesty? Then yesterday, we talked about yesterday. We just had fun yesterday. Yesterday being the 25th of April, we talked about the 110th anniversary of Anzac Day. We talked about the 80th anniversary of my in-laws' wedding anniversary. And we talked about the 27th anniversary of Brad proposing to me. So that was kind of cool. Just telling the story, recording it for future generations. Today we are talking about your life as a living example. The best legacy isn't told in words, it's lived in moments. So remember that. So let's go over to my notes over here. Oh, geez, I've got notes everywhere. It's been one of those. It's been an awesome day today. Okay. So your life is telling a story, even when you're not paying attention. It's not about performing. It's about living intentionally enough that others notice your courage, your kindness, your clarity. For example, I realized I was setting an example the day my nephew said, I want to read books like Aunt Helen does. I wasn't teaching. I was just living. Just through your day-to-day actions, influencing people in your lives, just by what it is that you do. So what is it that people are watching? So what are you doing? What message are you sending? What example are you living? You are someone else's example right now. You don't have to be famous or flawless. Nobody's going to be flawless. Someone is learning from how you love, how you struggle, how you apologize, and how you dream. Small actions make big impressions. What was I going to say? Sorry, train of thought just went out of my head. Oh, we had a neighbor one time. That's what I was going to say. When we were living in San Diego, in Rancho Bernardo, we had a neighbor one time who grew tomatoes every summer on her little patio out the back there. And it was nothing fancy, but every time I see a garden now, I remember her and her patience, and I want to grow something too. Even though the green thumb has skipped me completely, places I'm looking at in New Zealand, some of them have some gardens. The one that I really like right now has 2 fenced off areas. One fenced off area is a veggie garden. The other one is the fruit trees. And I'm like, yeah, I think it's about time that I learned how to do this. I mean, even Brad he got inspired by the neighbor. He went out this was the funniest thing. So this is a really cool story. So Brad goes to Home Depot he wants to grow tomatoes on our patio, like the next door neighbor did. He was inspired by her. And so he goes down to Home Depot. He comes back. He's got his pots that are about this big, and the framing thing to put these tomato plants in. He's got the tomato plants. He's got the dirt that he needs. He's got everything he needs for that. And he goes, I got something today that you would like. And I'm like thinking, you got something today I would like? He goes, yeah. He said it only cost me $10. And I was like, what did you get for $10? He had got a charcoal grill. They had them on sale. It was $10, $9.99. The only thing was that he then had to go get the charcoal and he got the barbecue tools to go with it. So he ended up spending a little more than the $10 for the grill, but the grill was $10 and that was all he was concerned about. So not only did he get to put his little tomatoes together that night, and I think he had two or three. He had three. He had 3 pots with the dirt in them and the tomato plants and all that. He got all of that done, and then that evening, So while he was sorting out his plants, I then went off to the store and got some steaks and came home, and he grilled the steaks on the charcoal grill. And I have to tell you, there is nothing like having steaks off a charcoal grill. Yes, I know people like the gas grills and all of that, but there is something about the charcoal that gives the meat a different flavor. So Brad's inspiration to get tomato plants ended up in not only getting his tomato plants, but getting in the charcoal grill so we could now start grilling meat. I was so happy. Yes. I was very happy with that one. And so you have to think about things. What story is your life telling? Is it a story of resilience, kindness, creativity, boundaries, curiosity? The themes are shaped not by big moments, but by how you handle everyday life. Yeah, I had a friend whose father lost his job, but he still found a way to bring home his wife flowers every day. He always brought her home flowers every day. Even when he lost his job, he still found a way to bring her home some flowers every day. And it was a beautiful example that told me love wasn't about circumstances. It was about choosing each other. I thought that was such a sweet story that my friend had about her dad. I said, I like that. And yeah, when he lost his job, he still found a way to bring his wife home flowers, every day. Even while he was out job hunting. And I thought that was so special because that spoke to the character that he was. How to be a living example without burning out. You don't have to do more. You just have to be real. Pull back the curtains. Authenticity beats perfection every time. Admitting mistakes, showing growth, offering encouragement, that's the real legacy. I remember I had a teacher one time who, and she was one of my favorite teachers that I had growing up. And I've had a lot of teachers over the years. I went to 9 different schools. And I always remember my mum calling me one day to complain about my niece being, about age 10 and in her 5th school or something like that. And I said to Mum, you do realize I went to 9 schools? And she was like, you did not. And so I rattled off all the schools that I had been to. And she goes, oh, what horrible parents you had. But you know what? That made our family closer. Yes, I was always the new kid on the block. Yes, I got bullied at school because I was the new kid on the block. I had to learn to stand up for myself. I had to learn to speak for myself. And just show people that, I may be the new kid on the block, but I am here. So yeah, we had to deal with that. But one of my favorite teachers wasn't the one with the perfect lesson plans. It was the one who admitted when she didn't know something and let us learn beside her. She was awesome. Somebody asked, we were always asking her questions in class. And somebody asked a question one day. She goes, I don't know the answer to that question. She says, but I'm going to go to the library after school and we're going to go find out the answer. And she even told us how she was going to go learn it. She says, you kids can go home and see if you can find the answer as well. We didn't have computers in those days, no internet to go and look it up. So we had to go to the library and look up encyclopedias and things like that in order to get the answer. But it was really cool because it meant that she was learning at the same time as we were learning, and she wasn't afraid to admit that she didn't know something. Everybody thinks teachers know everything. They don't. And the really good ones admit it when they don't know something, and they want to learn along with us, or they will go and learn the answer, find the answer to that question, and come back and then teach it to us. So, and I've got a friend who always tells us to ILT, invest, learn, teach. Invest in yourself, learn a new thing, then turn around and teach it. And that's what some of my favorite teachers did when I was going to different schools. If they didn't know something, they would turn around and go and learn it and then come back and teach us. And that was awesome. And so the challenge was, would we find out before the teacher did, or would the teacher find out before we did? So we kind of all had a little challenge there. But it was awesome because some people would come back and go, well, in the encyclopedia, it said this. And if you don't know what an encyclopedia is, it was like 20-something volumes of one book. And it had all the knowledge in there. Now you can just got it at your fingertips on the internet and all of that sort of thing. We did not have that growing up. So we had to do it the old-fashioned way of going to the library and looking up the information and researching it. So, or asking other people about it as well. That was the other thing. We went home, asked our parents this question. If they could give us the answer, they would. If not, we may end up going to the library to find the answer and seeing if we can find the answer there. So, be open. If you don't know something, let somebody, let people tell people that you don't know that, but you're willing to find out. I have people when I'm even researching their genealogy, they'll ask me a question and I'm going, I haven't heard that one before. Let me figure out what it is and I'll be happy to tell you. So off we go and we learn together. Building a legacy that lives beyond you. Share your stories while you're still living them. It's the best way. Let people see your heart, not your highest reel. And some of them are going, reel? Yeah, if you're on Instagram and Facebook and all of that, you'll know about reels. We're talking the short videos. So let people see your heart, not just your highlight reel. Small habits ripple outward. Remember that thing, if you drop the stone in and then the water just ripples out and the rings get bigger and bigger and bigger. So small habits ripple outward. A daily word of encouragement, a handwritten note, a smile that says, I see you. And think about your grandparents. Your grandparents may not have been people who were big on speeches, but when they hugged you, oh my gosh, those hugs were I love hugs. And the reason I love hugs so much is because they can convey. A true hug is held for a minimum of 20 seconds, which is a lifetime when you're giving a hug. But it allows your soul to talk to the other person's soul and convey the words that you can't find. Convey what you are feeling to them when you can't find the words. And getting those hugs from grandparents, you felt stronger, you felt braver, you felt loved. You wanted to be somebody that you wanted to, and I want to be someone's brave place too when I get a hug. I had a guy come over about a week and a half ago, who purchased Brad's golf clubs. And it turned out he was a hugger, and he kind of puts his arm out for a side hug. And he goes, I'm sorry. He says, I'm just such a hugger. And I turned it, and he happened to be 6'5", because Brad's golf clubs had been extended. The shafts had been extended for somebody who was 6'5". So Brad was able to at least swing a golf club without having to bend over double. And when this guy put the golf clubs next to Brad's golf clubs, there was, depending on which wood or iron it was, there was anywhere, or even some of the pitching wedges and things, there was a 1 to 2 inch difference, but that was enough for somebody who was 6'5" to be able to swing a golf club confidently. And so he knew that Brad had been 6'5". I told him that because I said the shaft's been extended for someone who was 6'5". He goes, well, I'm 6'5". So he was a really, really sweet guy, and he apologized for being a hugger. And I turned around and says, I'm a hugger too. And I said, one thing I have missed with my husband being gone is tall hugs. And he just opened his arms up, and I got a tall hug. And I can't tell you how much I cherish that. From a complete stranger, I got a tall hug. And just that told me a lot about this guy, and that he's got 4 children from 8 years down to 8 months. So it told me that he was very much a family man, and he was somebody who would take care of his family, a very caring and giving man. And just being able to have that hug from somebody who was 6'5", and I'm only 5'4", but there's times that I just need a tall hug. I do. I love hugs. I get hugged. I don't get hugs as much as I would like hugs. But getting that 6'5" hug made my evening completely. It just completely transformed how I was feeling. And it just felt so incredible. And it was just from a complete stranger who was buying my husband's golf clubs. You never know where they're going to come from. And finally, we're going to leave you with this. And this is the questions we have for you. What kind of example are you living right now without even trying? If someone were writing your story based on today, what would the chapter be called? Think about that. I know. You're thinking. It's good. I love it. And with that, we are out of here. So go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll get... Oh, what here? Oh, my shirt got dirty today. I just noticed there was a smudge mark here. It dripped. That was from my shake. Oh, and I shake down here too. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to tell you, it has been an awesome day. I've got so much work done on my project, and it's been an awesome day. I am learning a program at the same time on how to construct something within this program. I'm working in a CRM and I'm learning how to construct sales funnels in this thing, the correct, how to do that. And all I've done is I learned this from a friend of mine. She said she just went to ChatGPT and says, hey, I'm working in Go High Level and I need to do this. Or here's a screenshot of this page. What does it do? How do I work it? And she said she's just been asking ChatGPT these questions on different screens on Go High Level, how to do this, how to do that. Well, let me give it a go. So I went into Go High Level and says, hey, I need to create a sales funnel for this product. How do I do it? And Go High Level. And it's giving me step-by-step instructions, where to put the headlines, where to put the text, where to put the images and all of that. And every time I complete a step, I then take a screenshot of it and I upload it to ChatGPT and says, here's what I've done. How am I doing? And the last one said it was perfection. The headline is big and bold and inviting. Bullet points are clean and punchy, super easy for buyers to skim and say, I need that. And the button underneath is well placed and keeps the momentum flowing. So it even gives you feedback. But the ChatGPT sitting here giving me instructions, okay, I've done that. What's next? And so it's been walking me through step by step on creating a funnel, which has been kind of cool. And I created funnels years ago, and this kind of uses a similar funnel building tool, but it's been a long while and I want to make it look good, not just be there. So I have all the copy already written, and now I'm just saying to ChatGPT, I need to put this into some sort of order. I need to create this this course within Go High Level, but I need a sales funnel for people to go there to get to the course, and then I need the membership thing and blah, 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 blah. So it's walking me through step by step. So if you want to learn how to do something in a particular program, just get onto ChatGPT and go, hey, I want to do this inside this program. How do I do it? And it will guide you through step by step. So anyway, with that, I'm out of here. You ready for your walk? Where did she go? Oh, I have an update on Zeffy Girl. So she gets me up at just before midnight to go outside. So she goes out and does her thing. She only goes outside in the backyard and does her thing when it's dark. She comes back in from that. She then wakes me up around 3:30-ish, sometime before 3:30. And I get up, I go, let her out, and we come back in. I go to bed and says, okay, we're done for the night now. And so she's up on the bed sleeping. And then about 5 minutes later, she gets off the bed and goes down the hall. And I think, oh, she's just going to go. And I hear her eating in her bowl because I can hear the noise from the bowl. And so I'm just drifting off when I start hearing this other noise. I'm like, what the heck is that? And I'm like, hang on, that sounds like she's in her treats. And I'm like, dang her. And I go out there and she had found... My fault. I totally forgot to close the pantry door, but she found how I had taken her treat bag that she had found and ripped a big hole into it. And I had folded it down so that everything was sealed. And I put the butterfly clip on there and hid it behind all of her other treats. She found it. And I go out there, the green clip's laying on the floor. I did not have my phone with me, so I didn't take a picture of it or anything else. The bag is ripped wide open, and she's standing there with the last chew in her mouth, and I go, drop it. And she just puts her head down, and Jenny opens her mouth, so it just falls on the floor, and then she looks at it and looks at me and went, no. And I says, back up. And so she backs up a couple of places, and she looks at it. She looks at me, and I'm going, no. So I go over and I pick it up. I put it into, I don't use plastic bags. I use the silicone bags that you can reuse. And the ones that I use for her food, I have her name written on them so I don't get it confused with other bags. And so I put it into one of those and ziplocked it. And it's in a silicone bag, right? And there's one treat left. So I pick up the mess that she's made from the other thing and put it all into the trash, and off we go to bed and all of that sort of stuff. Then this morning, I'm in here working and I hear this noise and I go out. She has that silicone bag in her mouth. I am like, you have got to be kidding me. That is sealed. How can you even smell what is in there? I was like, jeepers. So I took it off her and I put it up on a higher shelf and closed the door and said, you are not going. Actually, I closed the door at 3:30 in the morning as well. So she couldn't get in there. But of course, I'd gone in and had breakfast and left the door open. And it's only the second time I've closed that pantry door. It's always stayed open. And she goes in there and sniffs around and goes back out again. But when she got the silicone bag one, I was like, no. And so I put it up a little on the next shelf up so she couldn't get to it. And she saw me putting it up there, and she's like looking at that and looking down at the floor and looking up at this thing like, how can I get up there? And I'm like, you're not going to get it. She had it this afternoon for her afternoon treat, because that's usually when she gets that one. But yes, so she could smell that thing through a silicone bag, one of those reusable Ziploc silicone bags. They're like Ziplocs, but they're made out of silicone, so it's better for the food and all of that sort of, and better for your health and all that sort of thing. And yeah, she could smell that. Yeah, so now she has no more of those treats left, because she's eaten them the last couple of days when she's been able to get to the bag, and she had the last one today at her normal snack time. So my little monkey. I have to see what she comes up with next. Or keep the door closed to the pantry. Yeah, that's going to be a hard thing. Since the last 2 years, it's never closed. Yeah, last night was the first time I closed it, and then today, after she got the silicone bag out, I closed it again. So it's only been closed twice in the last 2 years. Anyway, with that, and then the last 3 years before that, when we were living in the RV, all of her treats sat in a basket on top of her crate, right next to the sofa, so she could stand on the sofa there and sniff at her treats and everything else. And she never, ever, ever went up. She'd go sniff them, and then she'd just walk away. She would leave them alone. Even the ones that were kind of in bags that were kind of just like folded down and not really sealed, she just left them alone. You never know. Anyway, I gotta go take her for a walk. So go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific.